everybody, Dizzy Crafter here. So the next thing we're going to be doing for our camera is the shutter die, which is from Helen Griffin again, and I've die cutted everything out, so you don't necessarily need all of these die cuts. I just feel this gives a more substantial movement. The cardstock I've got is just, actually I think it's about 210, maybe 220 GSM, and what I do is I cut several of them out and then we're going to glue them all together, obviously with the holes all aligned, and especially the very front one. So I'll have the pattern paper, but the behind is just the plain cardstock. And for the actual shutter mechanism, you only necessarily need 5, but I've cut out 10 because I'm going to glue 2 each of each. Now when you do cut these out, you end up with a lot of these circles. I wouldn't chuck these away because these will come in handy on other cards that you could make, or even during the mini album what we're going to be making inside the camera box itself. So just get rid of these, and then we're going to glue all of these pieces together. So we've glued 2 of these together, and I'm thinking now maybe we should do a third one because it still feels kind of flimsy, so I feel like I will do 3 on each. Done the 3, and now that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I've got 5 of these. So if you want to do it how I do mine, how I do this one, you're going to want 15 of these. Now you don't necessarily have to use a mirrored card. I just prefer it because I think it gives a more of a realistic look, even if the camera itself isn't realistic, as in you're not going to have mermaids and stuff all over it. So that's that done, and then I'm just going to do the exact same with all these other pieces, glue them all together, and then I shall be back. I'm sure you don't need to see me gluing all these together. I've got all the pieces glued together now, and these shutter pieces, they still kind of bowed up a little bit, so I just glued all these first and placed them under my craft mat, which has really helped them to get much flatter, because you do really want them flatter, but they're much more substantial. So as all these other pieces, there's no flimsiness going on whatsoever. You could actually even make this even thicker if you wanted, and I still may do that, but for this purpose right now we're just going to get cracking on making the actual shutter die. So the first pieces we need are the 5 inserts for the middle, which is going to create the shutter, and then you want the smaller circle with the smaller holes in, and then you're going to want some small brads. I'm using these, I think I got these from Amazon or something. They didn't come in this bottle, this is just I store them in these bottles. So you're going to want 5 of those. Once you've got the 5 of those out, if you've got one of these brad setters, this will be your best friend, because it is really important to try and get these brads as straight and as flat as possible. So we're going to take the first brad, and then, so we're just going to pop the brad into that hole, and then we're going to put it in one of the holes here. It doesn't really matter which way you're doing it unless you're colour coordinating them, if you're not having these all different colours or whatnot, but for this purpose it won't matter to me. So you're going to look, so this is on the outer of the circle, and then you're going to turn it over, and I'm going to separate these brads. I want that brad turning that way so it's flat. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, I don't know. I just like to keep it flat like that. So we're just going to separate them, and then I'm just going to flatten it out first of all with my fingers, and then I'm just going to flatten it then with the actual brad setter. So that's your first piece in, and then we're just going to continue that on all 5 pieces. So all your pieces are in and they're all going the same way. So the next thing to do is to make sure that this all fits in and that none of them are overlapping in the wrong direction. So you'll take your first piece and go in, and then take the next piece and overlap it this way, like so. And that's how you want it looking for now, and then we're going to go on to the next step. So the next step is to take this circle with the rectangle holes in, and we actually want to marry up the holes on these pieces here with the holes on there, if that makes sense. So this will really help to make sure they're all in place in the correct way as well. So before you start, just make sure you can actually see all the holes. And I can see all the holes there. So we're going to take these brads. I got these brads from the range actually. I think they're called split pins. They're like from the Office Supply. So again, we're going to need 5 of these. And then you're going to take your first one of this, and we're going to place the brad inside from this side onwards and push that through. It is a bit stiff on mine. I don't know if that's because these brads are quite wide, or if it's because I've done 2 layers of card. So I just want to put them back in the way they should be. This is how I do it, just to make sure. And then we're going to place that on there like so. Again, make sure we can still see all those circles. And it is important really to take your time on this stage, because this is where it can really go wrong, and it's gone wrong several times on me. And then really push that down. Again, I'm going to use this brad setter to really burnish that in. And then we're going to take the next one. And then we're going to just keep repeating that. As you can see, that was quite a fiddly task, but then you need to check that it's working. And mine is. And this is how it goes. So there is actually another piece you can die cut, which is like a little handle that you can pull, and if you're on my TikTok or anything, you'd have seen that because I've done these cameras on there before. I've decided on this particular one not to actually do that because I just feel like it looks a bit big and bulky, and I didn't really care for how it looked. And you can still do the actual mechanism just by using your hand anyway, that's how you would do a lot of the cameras, especially the modern cameras these days anyway. Some of these brads may be a tiny bit long, so I'm just going to go in and actually trim them because they do come in the way here and I don't really like that. So we're going to do that next. So all I'm going to do is just trim a little bit off. Now you want to make sure all those pieces have disappeared and they're not stuck in the mechanism if you have to do that with your brads, because you don't want little pieces of metal, especially these little ones, may be messing about with this. So I'm just going to try that again and make sure that it's not going to be coming invisible in this hole when we're changing the mechanism up, which they're not. So I'm very pleased with that. The last thing to do is actually put this on top, but we want to be using hot glue for this, so we're going to be placing hot glue in the centres where the brads ain't. Not so sure my hot glue gun will stretch as far as my camera, but I'll try, and hence that's why I'm telling you. I know it literally is here in the corner, but I'll try and do it as best I can. So because got to be quite fairly quick. I've got that on, got to get this on fairly quickly. so the hot glue gun doesn't dry. The next thing to do would be to apply it onto the actual camera front like so, but I'm actually waiting on a photograph to come through so I can print it out and place it in the centre here, so when we open the mechanism you'll see a photograph of the person who this actual album is for. And then we would decorate this box up, but I'm still waiting on that photograph. I can't really decorate it up until this is on, and then I can figure out what pieces I want to go where. So the next one we're going to be doing is the mini album, so I hope to catch you in that next video. Bye.